What is going on, guys? JT43 here, and in this video I'm going to be showing the complete full process of rear end swapping your Scion TC, going from 2011 to 2013 to 2014 to 2016. Well, I wanted to just get this out of the way real quick. If you do decide to follow me step by step in this rear end swap process, I just want you to know that you're going to be one of the select few that actually do this to your car. You can look on YouTube, you can look on forums. There's nothing really about this swap that's out there. So once again, if you do decide to do this swap, you're going to be one of the select few that have it. And not only are you owning a unpopular chassis to begin with, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you are taking it a step further by doing this rear end swap as far as like modifications go. Because you can only do so much to the stock parts that are already on there, and then when you decide to throw something else in the mix, I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, just enjoy the video. All right, so the first part that I'm going to be talking about to do the actual conversion is going to be the taillights. So there is not only the appearance factor of, you know, a difference between the taillights, but it's also a size difference in between the taillights. So just to kind of do the obvious, obviously the 2014 to 2016 taillight, they kind of did this black chrome kind of style, and I think it looks really good. Now into the actual like real differences. The 2014 to 2016 taillights are smaller than the 2011 to 2013. So that's why whenever you're going to do a conversion, you have to do the bumper as well. You can't just do the taillights because you'll have a gap, and you'll see when I actually show you the bumper and show it on the car and do the whole process. If you have a 2011 to 2013 bumper and you put 2014 to 2016 taillights, you'll now have a gap in the bumper. If you try to put 2011 taillights, or sorry, 2011 to 2013 taillights on a 2014 to 2016 bumper, it won't fit. It's too, you know, it's a bigger bumper. So whenever you're going to do a conversion, whether you want to go from 2011 to 2013 on your 2014 to 2016, or if you're doing what I'm doing a 2014 to 2016 on a 2011 to 2013, it's a lot of years, but it's just easy to comprehend that way. You need to do the whole conversion. You can't just do the taillights. If you're going to do the conversion, you need to do taillights and you need to do the bumper. This is just the first piece of the puzzle. Now, I'm still waiting on the rear bumper to show up, but for you, it will just be in a couple seconds. There are a different couple things that you'll notice here. If you didn't know, on the 2011 to 2013, your right side taillight doesn't have a reverse light. So technically you only have one reverse light on the car. Similar to the earlier second gen XBs, they had it on the bumper and they only had one reverse light. Same thing with the TCs. Even though there's two cutouts for reverse lights, you only actually have one reverse light. You can see there's no access for a bulb in there. But on the 2014 to 2016, you have reverse lights on both sides. I tried. The only thing that fits on this wiring harness, even the reverse light on the left side, is the blinker. That's the only thing that fits. So this will fit that. The brake light will not fit in the brake light up top, and the reverse light on your left side will not fit in the reverse light on the left new tail light. Picked up the brake lights that I'm gonna need, and I also picked up the reverse lights that I'm gonna need. I went with the LED so I can give my alternator a break, but also my taillight harnesses came in. So this is just a quick voiceover. Now in this clip, I pretty much bought 2014 to 2016 taillight harnesses. This whole process, I knew it was going to be a trial and error, and I wanted to see if I can get it done correctly before I start jerry-rigging and start retrofitting things up. So what I mean by trial and error is there's not a lot of information about doing this rear conversion online, trying to search for it, trying to find forums of it already being done. I couldn't really find anything on it, so I was really going into this blind, and I kind of expected things to not work out just as planned. But I included this in the video just to kind of show that, you know, this is non-sugar coated. This is a non-sugar coated version of someone trying to figure out a process like this. So you'll later find out in the video what exactly happens with this harness, but I'm pretty much putting this in here to let you know, like, hey, don't buy this harness. Don't buy the 2014 to 2016 if you are following me step by step. I end up retrofitting the 2011 to 2013, which I'll leave a link in the description of those taillight harnesses in the description, because those are the ones that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be retrofitting those. So what I'll do first is I'll go ahead and unplug my taillight that's on the car, just like that. And then I'll plug this guy in. I'll probably need to hold it up somewhere so that the harness can reach, but I'll plug this in, I'll start the car up, and we'll see if this taillight powers up. Before I even do that, I have to kind of put the sockets in. So we'll take the brake light and we'll just kind of match it up and put this guy in. And click them to the right like that. And then we'll take the reverse light and match it up. All right, so I got my brake light in and I got my reverse light in. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna go over there and start the car up and we'll see how this works. All right, so it appears that only the brake light is working, which I think I kind of understand why the reverse light isn't working. That's kind of gonna be an issue because when I turn my lights on, it doesn't light up. But the brake does work though. The LEDs do not. So I might have to jerry rig this up, but the brake does work. All right, so I switched it over to the other side. Now the side that I just tested doesn't actually have a reverse light, but let's try this one. So mind you, I don't have the blinkers hooked up because I already know the blinkers work. It's the exact same thing. What I'm mainly trying to figure out is the brake light, just because we know the brakes work, but a light that is staying on while the lights are on. And then I'm trying to look for the reverse light. So I have it in reverse right now. Nothing is happening. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try and flip it around. All right, so as you can see, this is now on. All I had to do was just flip it around and it worked. I'm gonna see if the reverse light at least works on the other side again, because the side I just had plugged it in, even though it doesn't have the reverse light, I still want to see if it works because all I had to do was flip it around and it turned it right back on. Still no running lights, which kind of sucks. All right, so the point that we're at right now is we know that the brake lights work and we know that the reverse light works, and I know for a fact that the blinker works. The only thing that I'm trying to figure out now is the tail light running lights. Like when you flip, because my lights are on right now, but you can see there's nothing going on in the tail light. Over here, that light, it doesn't look like it, but that light is on. So, and if we come over here to this guy, there's nothing on. So there's no daytime running lights pretty much, or not daytime, but there's no constantly running tail lights, which I guess would kind of work. But you know, in terms of safety and stuff like that, you're gonna want lights on, especially at night. After just kind of sitting here and thinking about it, I kind of rethought of the plan. So I know that the reverse lights and the blinker works and the brake light works. If I don't have a working running brake light, just it being nighttime and not having those lights on in the dark, you know, yes, I'll have brake lights, but just those running lights in general not being on, that could be a pretty dangerous situation. So I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 2014 to 2016 wiring harnesses. The reason why I'm leaving this in the video is to kind of show you a non-sugar-coated version of processes like this. Cars you see online, builds you see, sometimes it doesn't work out like it wants to. So this is a non-sugar-coated version of that. So instead, I'm going to basically order 2 of the 2011 to 2013 wiring harnesses for the taillights, and I'm going to retrofit that to the 2014 to 2016 taillight. I already kind of have an idea, Dremel out, because the only thing that fits is the blinker. So if I Dremel out the rest of the sizes, and then I use either hot glue or a different type of glue sealant, that should work. I've done it in the past before. I wanted to try and do it right the first time by getting the appropriate wiring harnesses, but it's clear that I'm gonna have to jerry rig the shit out of it. So obviously what I mean by jerry rig is I will have to get, and I'm gonna order 2 because just in case anything happens, I always want to be able to throw my stocks back on. But I'm going to order 2 of the 2011 to 2013 taillight harnesses, and I'm going to have to retrofit them to fit into the 2014 to 2016 taillights. That's the route I'm going to go. Obviously, I'm going to show every step along the way. Kind of sucks that I couldn't do it correctly. We're going to get this done anyway. So real quick, before I do anything else, I kind of just wanted to explain a couple things. Now, first off, I'm kind of doing this video in and out, meaning that this isn't all in one day. I am filming a little bit here and filming a little bit there. It's not all on the same day. So this process kind of takes a lot of trial and error. Now, regarding that, this conversion swap, there's not a lot of information about it online. So I'm kind of trialing and erroring this process to try and find the best way to do this and to do it functionally, to actually be able to do the swap. And I understand that it wasn't going to be easy. After the last clip that you just saw, I did a bunch of filming of different things that I had planned out that just kind of didn't work at all. I ended up buying 2 more harnesses. I ended up buying LEDs and having to constantly return and buy new ones because I was swapping between the harnesses. After all that frustration, because once again, I knew this process was going to be hard. It's just a matter of how hard. And it definitely took a lot of trial and erroring to get to where I am right now with it. So after everything that I've done and all of these setups that I've done to these taillights, I now have a functioning taillight that's going to be compatible. So I'm pretty much going to be going over everything that I've done to the taillights to get it to function with my 2011. So if I go ahead and turn this guy over, I now have everything plugged in and is now able to function in the car. So there's 2 things that I want to kind of explain what's going on here. So I had to manipulate and adjust the brake socket to get into there. And there's also a new thing that I learned about the reverse light. So on the last clip, when I was talking about jerry rigging, right? I was talking about using the 2011 to 2013 taillight harnesses, right? So my harness with the reverse light has a big, fat, black socket. This is a 2011 to 2013 harness, and you can see that both of the harnesses, even though I just have one here, both of them came with 2014 to 2016 reverse lights. So 2011, 2011, 2014. So I found that really interesting. I think because the 2011 only has one reverse light, and I don't know, maybe down the line they got rid of that. I'm not sure if there was another retrofit for the taillights. I'm not sure, but when you search up on any Toyota, the socket wires, right, the ones that I'm going to put in the description, it's going to be these. So you can actually run a 2014 reverse LED light because it uses the smaller socket, not the big socket that's already on my car. So that was number one, because I had already returned the LEDs that I was using for the first harness. That was the 2014 to 2016 harness that I was originally going to use. So I had to go and buy the LEDs again. That was that, right? So the second thing that I had to do that was very, very tedious was pretty much dremeling the area here to get the brake socket to fit in. That was the biggest thing. Blinkers are always going to fit, so you don't have to mess around with the blinkers. Blinkers fit. The 2011 and 2014 blinker, it fits in the same spot right here, so you don't have to fuck around with your blinkers. And now knowing that this is the new harness that you can get for 2011, you don't have to mess with the reverse light either to do this conversion. So you can leave these two guys alone. But for the brake light, you do have to make space for it. So I'll add a clip here of me dremeling, pretty much putting a Dremel on a drill and just kind of carving the space out, because it fits a socket that looks like this. It's small like the reverse light, but obviously for the 2011, it's a big brown plug like that. So I pretty much made space in order for this plug to get in, but then I ran into another issue. So this isn't fully glued in, but I ran into another issue. So it's pretty hard to see on camera, but right here, there is a, pretty much the red film that gives off the red look for the brake light. And I mean, you can see a little bit of the red. It's not that deep to be able to touch it. And this is a pretty long setup. So my idea worked where you can see that I drilled out the space for the socket to go into. But now, I mean, I have the piece in here, but if I didn't have a piece like this in there, the bulb would touch the red inside of the taillight. So it would kind of like, it would hang out like that because it wasn't able to fully seat. So I had to make a spacer to be able to put the socket in and not make contact with the top of that. So what I did is I took a mini bike grip, and this is the beginning of the grip, kind of like the flange. And so I chopped off the very beginning of it. I pretty much glued it onto the taillight. So this is now glued on. And so the purpose of this is so that when I put this brake light in, it doesn't make contact with the bottom. It has a spacer, meaning that I can put this in here and it will stay. And it does not make contact with that right there, because there's a couple things that are sketchy about it making contact. Is number one, I mean, these brake bulbs get really hot and it can potentially burn through the plastic or burn the plastic, and you don't want anything like that happening. And number two, with this homemade spacer being made, it kind of acts like a seating for it. So you can see it's not a lot of play in there. It's kind of holding it very tight. But those were the two things that I found interesting, was a different plug for, I guess, the updated harness of the 2011 and the 2013, and I had to make a custom spacer. With those two being out of the way, only really being an obstacle, I now have the functioning taillight that's ready to go onto the car. I'm gonna try and film the process for the other taillight, because this is just one complete. I put the camera down after filming so much that wasn't usable because it wasn't working out, that I just decided to do the work, make sure that everything works, and then pick up the camera. And that's why I'm making this clip. We're gonna record the process for the other one. So now that I have the taillight upstairs fully figured out, now I'm going to be showing the full process of how to do that. So I'm pretty much going to be starting off with dremeling this open. So the thing about the new harnesses that I explained upstairs is the blinker works, and now the reverse light works. So we don't have to, I originally thought we were going to have to Dremel the reverse light too, but that's fine. So if I get the new harness out here, so here's the brake light, the brown one. It can't, not even the bulb can't even fit into that opening. So realistically, all I'm trying to do is make it to where the bulb can fit into this hole. I'll show you the next problem that I ran into and the reason why I needed a spacer for that bulb, but I'm gonna just Dremel this out real quick. So for the Dremel that I'm using, I picked up two of them, but I mainly just used the one. It's this gold tip. The brand's literally called Dremel. I picked it up at Lowe's. It's very cheap. I think it was like $9. So this is the one that you're gonna want though, the gold with the nice blades on the side. It cut a lot easier than the other one. So towards the end of the video, I'm gonna do a complete everything that I used and everything that you're gonna need to do this conversion. But yeah, if you're wondering, it's just a Dremel with a power drill. All right, so now I have it all Dremeled out. So I first start with Dremeling the design out. So kind of these like grooves here, I kind of start with just Dremeling those out and seeing if the bulb can fit. And obviously the bulb didn't fit, so I had to Dremel out some more. But now that I Dremeled out some more, you can see the bulb is able to fit now all the way down in there. But here was the second issue that I ran into that was really annoying. So you can see in there, there's that red piece that kind of, you know, gives off that red effect because this is a white shining bulb. So when you Dremel it out and you're like, oh cool, I can just put the thing in, you actually can't, because the bulb makes contact with that red piece down there. So that meant that the bulb couldn't even, like I couldn't even glue this onto here. I pretty much had to make a spacer for that to work. That's why the other taillight has that spacer. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to shave out the rest of this. That way the bulb has plenty of room to kind of like be free in there and it's not making contact with any of the plastic. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you how to make the spacer. All right, so now that is looking a lot better. It's looking more open. Let's see if the plug, yeah, so the bulb has a lot of dancing room in there. The reason why I do that is because even with the spacer, you don't want the bulb touching any of the plastic because, you know, the bulb gets hot. So, you know, it could potentially, I don't think it would, but it could potentially cause a fire because it is like heat on plastic. So, and after you're done Dremeling, you're just gonna want to shake out the material because like stuff like this will be in the taillight afterwards. So you just want to make sure that you flip it over and just kind of shake all the plastic out. But once you do that, I'll show you the next step. All right, so now that you have your spacing all situated, the next step is going to be getting a grip. You can use any grip. The previous taillight, I used a mini bike grip. This is one off of an old scooter. It's an old ODI grip. The concept that we want here is pretty much just to cut a little piece of this so that we can create a spacer for the brake light. So as I explained in the last clip, now that this is all spaced out, it makes contact, especially if I put the camera here, it makes contact with the red in there, meaning that this would just be kind of like slanted, jostling around in there. But with the spacer, that would kind of fix all the problems. So how I kind of have it, if I were to put the brake light into this front section and lead it to right where the tips of here's touch, that would work. So if I cut right here, it would be able to clear the bulb, and the brown part would basically be in there, keeping it sturdy. That's kind of the plan of attack. Now, the only downside is the last one, the flange was big enough. This flange, this hole is smaller than this hole. So I might end up cutting this piece off and gluing it onto the flange so that there's more here to glue onto the taillight, but we'll see. We'll have to figure that out. I'm pretty much gonna go ahead and chop a little piece of this off, and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so got the grip here, and like I said, I'm gonna try chopping off just on this right here. Just kind of see where I gauge mine. Don't cut yours yet. Just kind of see what's going on with me, and then assess from there. But I'm pretty much gonna start my cut. I know this is sketch, but you know, scuff garage things. I'm just gonna start. I might even be able to just use scissors and just cut this shit. After cutting the scooter grip, I came down to two ideas. So I have this one, which is a spacer, and I also have the flange one, which will allow me more glue access. The problem with this one is it doesn't really have a lot of surface for this hole. So when I put it on top, there's not a lot for the glue to stick on, but it is ideally the best spacer. And then I have this, which I had to trim up. This was the flange, this was the front of the grip, and I cut it to where it kind of sits into the seal. I just gotta adjust it real quick. So I'm down to two options. It's either spacer number one or spacer number two. And how I'm doing this is I'm putting the spacer right up to the little tabs, the little inserts that we're supposed to go in and turn. I'm pretty much lining it up with that because you can see it clears the bulb, so it won't be making contact with the bulb at all, which is what we want. We don't want this thing getting heated up. But I'm gonna pick between the two, which ones are better, and then that's where the glue comes in. So I have this Gorilla Glue here to pretty much keep it intact and make sure that it's on. I explained in the previous clip before that other taillight, I have it Gorilla glued down and I let it sit for 2 hours, and now it's sturdy. So then I can hit as many, I can hit as many potholes and as many, I mean, I'm not gonna try to, but I can hit as many bumps as I want, and I know that my brake light's not gonna fly out. I'm gonna have to go with this one because this spacer, it just doesn't have enough contact for me to glue it and to confidently say that it's gonna stick, because this is a slightly bigger hole. So I'd rather just go with the safer option and make sure that all the glue is untacked. So I'll grab some of the Gorilla Glue. I'll just kind of so just like that, I applied the glue, and now I'm going to carefully lock it into place. You'll see that I have it in place, and you kind of just want to hold it to where you want it to go, and then just kind of put pressure on it. And so after you put pressure and it starts to kind of tack up to where it doesn't really want to move, but it still kind of moves, you're gonna put a heavy object on it. But be sure that when you put the heavy object on it, it doesn't move the piece from where it was. Let it tack up a little bit, let it sit for 2 hours, you know, see if it's in place, or if it's still moving, give it a little bit more time. But yeah, 2 hours. All right, so I have now let the spacer dry up, and now you'll see what I'm talking about. So now when I put in the brake light, I won't even have to glue it. So I put the bulb through, and then I kind of just shove this in there like that. Make sure that it's sitting flush, which it is. And there we go. I now have my spacer for my brake light. So I'll kind of show you what these look like installed, and then I'll explain the bumper. So finally, after concept after concept, they are finally on the car. Functional, plugged in, ready to run, ready to work. I'll show you that in a second. After I show you that, we're gonna explain a little bit about the bumper. So you can kind of already tell what's going on here, but let me just show you how these things work. I'm really excited about this. All right, so I'll kind of give a little demonstration. I'll do the brake, the reverse light, and the blinker, and pretty much just show you how this is gonna look like. I'm really excited that the process is coming out along. Let me just show you. So from that clip, it was a little bit harder to tell. I'll probably throw something in at night of showing it like clearer and better, but brake lights work. Now, the thing about it though, is you can just kind of see the difference here. The red with the clear. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, I kind of want to go over the bumper issue. So this is what I was talking about when I'm saying that you're gonna need the bumper too to do this. You don't have to get the bumper, but you can see this massive gap here that kind of shows after putting the new taillights on. So as I explained before in the beginning of the video, the 2014 to 2016 taillights are a lot smaller than the 2011 to 2013. You know, they fill up this gap. So getting the new bumper, a 2014 to 2016 bumper, is obviously gonna fill up this gap. So now all I'm waiting on to do that is to find a reputable shop that can paint it correctly and, you know, make the car look nice, not just rattle can the shit out of it. The taillights work. We're now just waiting on the bumper. I'm really excited. So I'll see you when the bumper's here. I kind of have it propped back here in the sun so that I can expand into its full shape. And tomorrow, which is like in a couple seconds for you, we're gonna go drop it off, or at least kind of assess what's gonna happen with like paint and stuff. I decided to go and just get it painted. This is gonna sit here and hopefully form into its thing. You're supposed to leave it in sunlight so that, you know, plastic holds memory. So it's supposed to warm up and do that. I'll see you guys when the car is all packed up and ready to go. All right, so it wasn't easy, but I got everything packed up the best that I could. Just kind of shows how utilitarian these things are. Let's go get it painted. All right, so here's the body kit, side skirts, and bumper all painted up. I'm just gonna get this right out of the way, bro. When you guys are transporting your body kits, make sure you have a big enough car. No, I did not take the TC. I took an 8-foot van, and that should be big enough, you'd think, but in the back, you know, I could have definitely secured it more, but I worked with what I had. Can't really see it, but I have that guy right there. This whole side of the bumper is good. I know it's laying in grass, but it's on the bottom side. I don't care about the bottom. Right here, it's kind of hard to, there, no, you can see it on camera. So there's this scratch right here, there's these scratches, this right here, that whole thing. But if I look at my old bumper, I have this, I got hit here and here, and I also have a little black mark. So it's not really gonna be that noticeable, but the parts over here are. And I also have this too. So it's kind of, you know, but we're gonna be installing the rear bumper. So I'm gonna start off by taking these old taillights off, and then we'll do the bumper first, and then we'll put the new taillights on. All right, so I have both my old taillights out, and now I'm pretty much gonna start with the bumper first, because I feel like doing the bumper first and then putting the taillights in, that's gonna be a lot easier. So to do that, you're going to take this screw out over here, and then down by the lower wheel well, you'll take out this screw or nut right here. There's one over here too, like that. And I don't have a lower aero shield. I don't know if these things came with them, but if you look under here, there's also these two tabs. Like I said, I don't know if there is an aero shield under here, but if you do have something that's connected to the bumper, I would take that off too, but I don't have it, so I can't really show you. So let's take this thing off real quick. All right, so when you have the tabs out, so when you have that screw gone, that screw gone, that screw gone, and that screw gone, the only thing that's holding you up further is these tabs right here. So you're simply just going to pull up on the tab and then just pop the bumper out like that. And you're gonna do that on the other side too. Oh, it's already popped. Right, so I have everything disconnected here. I'm gonna try and do this in one go. So I'll take the bumper off. Like that, I'll get this out of the way. It's the last look at the 2011 bumper right here, or hopefully the last look. Here's the new one. Oh man, I'm excited. This looks so cool. I'll line it up carefully without trying to scratch anything. As I say that, I'm scratching everything. Now, after some struggling and some figuring out to do, I finally got it to fit. Now, I'll kind of show you the trick to the sides. If you end up getting an OEM bumper, you most likely won't run into this issue. If you get an eBay bumper, you'll most likely run into this issue. So what I had to do was I had to kind of press in, because there's tabs all around the bumper. You can't, I mean, maybe you could see a little bit right there, because I have it in the tab. So pretty much this I'm not worried about, because this will get screwed on right here. That's the screw that we took out down there. When lining this up, all you have to do is put pressure on it first and make sure that it's started, and then just give it a good smack in, and it should just line up. Because if you look at the if you look at that, it lines up pretty nice. Once again, this is gonna get screwed in, so that will sit like that. So it'll look good too. The screw holes match up perfectly, so that's really good. And it's the same story on this side, where you'll have to put pressure and then kind of just smack them into the clip. Same goes if you have the thing underneath, you'll put the thing underneath in. And this is unbolted, by the way, and it's sitting like this. So it actually sits pretty nice. There's a small thing that I noticed was kind of incorrect, was the brackets. I guess if you wanted to do this very, very correctly, you'll need to get new brackets. I did not know that. Once again, I'm doing this pretty much research free, but I can see now that I'm assuming that the 2014 brackets come up a little bit because this bumper does sit kind of high. Because when I was lining it up, I was trying to line it up with these brackets, but it doesn't line up that way. It is pretty cool looking, I'm not gonna lie. It makes it look a lot cooler already. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put all my screws in and make sure my fitment is correct. These tabs went in perfectly. There's no gaps or anything, so that's pretty cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my hardware in real quick and then come back. All right, so I put all my hardware back in. It's looking really good, bro. It's looking mean. I know it's like some of you may own a 2016, so this rear end, you're used to it, but you know, I have a 2011. I'm not used to this. It's time to throw the taillights in. We got the taillights here. I'm gonna throw them in, plug them up, and we'll see what happens. So my neighbor's having some yard work done, which is pretty annoying, but it is it's complete. I still have to fix the fitment over here, but the fitment of the bumper and the taillights, they're in, bro. Here it is. The TC, second gen TC 2.5.0. That's what we'll call this shit. Look at that. It looks so cool with my exhaust and everything, bro. It looks sick. Obviously, when doing this conversion, you can either go OEM with the reflectors, or there's this option. Now, I picked these up off of eBay. I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below if you wanna pick one up for yourself. It's pretty much the RCF style of a rear. Not RCF, sorry, the RC style. RCF has kind of what this has going on. It's just a little drop. But the RC 200T, the one that I just recently worked on, 300, 350, they all have these in the rear. You know, you might think, oh, it's a little tacky, but when I put this in here and I set it in, I'm not gonna lie, it makes it look kind of cool. It's 3D printed, and it has a little guide pin that goes into there, and some 3M tape. So a guide pin, 3M tape, it goes into that hole, and then there you go. So I'm gonna install these real quick. And so after putting pressure to let that kind of fuse to the bumper, I think it looks pretty cool like that. I'm not gonna lie, it gives it a nice look. Obviously, if you don't want to do that, you can do the OEM reflector. I know they make I think they make a light too. But I went with the RCF style, or sorry, RC style. I think it looks cool. But that's pretty much it. Lights work, bumper is on. I have to fuck with it a little bit. Mine, your brackets might not be as bad as mine, but I have to mess with mine a little bit. But other than that, bumper is on, bumper is functional. I will have a video coming out for that. I'm probably gonna do a third brake light. I'm not sure yet, but that's pretty much it, man. If you did enjoy this video, or if this helped you out in any kind of way, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.